Good day. I bid to the honorable panel and also to my FYP supervisor, Dr. Mastura Mohammed. My name is Sujit Kaugil with the matrix number 196507. Today, I'll be presenting on my final year project topic, which is newspaper readability perception of online news consumption by FPMK students in UPM. Let's get started with my chapter 1. So basically, Dominic, he has proposed that newspaper readability has been falling in recent years since the availability of the internet, which allowed online consumption, changing the way people saw information and obtained everyday news. And then again, Tiwari in 2015 stated that online media is different from newspapers, radio, and television in its perceptions and reception of the reader's point of view. So now, the question now is stated further explored by Yadam Surin and Adeles in 2011, whereby they observe that the internet and new technologies are changing the information behavior of new readers, whereby instead of reading a copy of local newspaper or watching the scheduled evening news, people are increasingly turning to the internet for daily news. Okay, so the problem statement, there are four problem statements whereby media practitioners, they have not understood or cared to consider the needs or expectations of their readers. Second, newspaper reading does not depend on young adult surveillance need. Thus, the rise of new media is insignificant on the reader's adaptability, obtaining news, obtaining on variety of channels. And fourth, audience preference significantly influence editorial judgments. Okay, the research objectives and research questions, there are four which for the research objective, the first is to identify the pattern of readability of online news websites and newspaper among UPM students, to examine the level of interactivity of online news websites among UPM students, and the third, to determine the relationship between the pattern of readability and interactivity among UPM students. As for the research questions, the first, what is the pattern readability of online news among UPM students? Second, what is the level of interactivity of online news websites readability among UPM students? And the third, is there any relationship between pattern in readability and interactivity of online news websites among UPM students? Okay, so my significance of study, there is four things that I will look into is practical, policy, theoretical, and methodological. Practical is basically, it will serve as a platform for the researchers, lecturers, and students in the field of journalism to further explore this research. Policy, because the online newspaper has been a very new subject and it's been rarely studied in the field of journalism. Theoretical, this study will be following the Innovation Diffusion Theory, IDT, by Rogers in 2003. And the methodological, this questionnaire is distributed in the form of Google form to the respondents. Okay, for the scope and limitation of the study, the focus will be again FPMK students in UPM. The limitation is because known information by individuals varies according to educational level, age, social status, and exposure to the matter. And the second is researcher need to approach individual to make sure they fill up the Google form, because some, respondents are just been filling it, so that would be a bit of a limitation of the study, I suppose. Okay, chapter 2. Now we will be looking into the literature review for my first objective. So I'll just highlight to you the main ones. The first is by Sharul and Norma, who said that readers began to shift from reading printed newspaper to online news portal. Then Wellington has also stated that the readability of newspaper relates to how well it serves its readers by balancing reading levels and interest in its circulation sector. Okay, now let's move on to the literature review for my second objective. Liu has proposed that the age factor contributes to reading behavior on the internet, whereas in 2015, Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, has stated that the most internet users in Malaysia encompasses Malaysian higher education students who are normally around 20 to 24 years old. Let's move on to the third objective and the literature review. So again, in this, Kasuma in 2016 has proposed that the rapid growth of the internet has forced people to access online media through smartphones. And then again, Lin has also stated that it is not only journalism that is changing with the growth of technology, but readers' news consumption habits are also changing. Zamri, on the other hand, in 2016, stated that the potential of interactivity posed by online news has fueled staggering anticipation over the adoption of a two-way communication model, especially in the news industry. This is my theory, innovation diffusion theory. This is a model. Okay, basically IDT is built to understand how society adopts an an innovation which may be an idea, an action, or an entity. So basically, IDT provides a useful insight into the mechanism of social transformation as well as the key, the attributes to contribute to an innovation's effective dissemination. So this is more of like a measuring ground to investigating emerging technology to see how well it fits with the daily life before embracing or refusing it. All right. So my research framework, this is my independent variables and dependent variables. My independent variables are the pattern of readability of news online and the level of interactivity of online news and website, whereas my dependent variables are newspaper readability perception among FPMK students in UPM. Okay, chapter 3 again. So my study is basically a quantitative research whereby it has a survey. So basically the population I've been taking FPMK as a whole of undergraduate and postgraduate. The whole population has been 2,847 students, but I'm using Kretzy and Morgan. So my respondents should be in between 338 to 241, which I have achieved because I've got 340 respondents. All right. So for the questionnaire section, the research instrument, my first section was demographic, whereby it has gender, age, education level. My section B, it has like five questions, and it was more it's on the pattern of readability of online news. Section C, the level of interactivity of online news websites, whereby there was 5 questions here, and section D was the pattern of readability with interactivity among UPM students. So again, 5 questions. So from section B, C, and D, it was all Likert scale questions, whereby there was only 5 questions for 5 questions each for each sections. Okay, so the Likert scale that I've been using is the first one is stated strongly disagree, second indicates disagree, third indicates neutral, fourth indicates agree, and fifth indicates strongly agree. So that was the Likert scale that I've been adapting into my section B, C, and D. All right, so I have done a pilot test on 35 respondents, whereby I received a good feedback, whereby my combat alpha value for the section B was 0.710, section C was 0.712, and section D was 0.926, which was actually good because as long as it's above 0.7, it shows that the test is valid and reliable. Okay, for chapter 4, let's look into the first part, whereby it's the demographic section. So basically, I had more females compared to the male because the females were 74.7%, whereas the male was 25.3%. So again, this is relevant because FPMK have more female compared to male students. The age, the age between 22 to 25 has the highest, which with 64.4%, and the education level of my respondents mostly were undergraduate by 290 respondents out of 340, which makes a percentage of 85.3%. All right, so this is my objective 1. This is the distribution of data. Now we will just discuss on the mean values and standard deviations of this pattern of readability of online news. So basically, the mean score of these items range from 3.74 to 4.76. So basically, this gave a positive outlook because it matched with the previous studies, whereby Wellington in 2015, he stated that, which says that the readability of a newspaper relates to how well it serves its readers by balancing reading levels and interest in its circulation sector. So this was a positive output here. Okay, next to my second objective, this is the distribution data. And again, we will be looking into the mean values and standard deviation here. So the discussion will be the mean score of items range from 3.8 to 4.45. This shows that the level of interactivity of online news websites among students is significant to obtain news easily and the engagement to keep up with it. Therefore, the result matched the previous study. And also Hassan in 2018 found out that the majority of Malaysian university students use internet as their primary source of news. So it basically matched with my objective here. And then my objective 3, we will also discuss on the mean values and the standard deviation. So again, the mean range of the items were 4.15 to 4.45. So this shows that the connection of readability pattern among students with the level of interactivity as you can save their time, therefore the result matched the previous studies. So basically that was that. And then my relationship is between my dependent variable and my independent variable, so whereby newspaper readability, perception with the pattern, and interactive online news. So in this table shows that medium correlation between the readability perception, because my present correlation value was 0.52. So based on the Gilead rules of thumb, 0.41 to 0.6 is actually on a moderate level. So these findings indicate that there's a significant relationship between pattern in readability and interactivity of online news websites among UPM students. All right, so let's go to chapter 5. Just to sum up, FPMK students in UPM have a good perception on newspaper readability in terms of pattern of interactivity and of online news. So my study has just proven that. However, like other studies, these studies are also has limitations, whereby the limitation is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, like I've mentioned earlier, it was a bit difficult to get respondents, but thankfully I've managed to reach my target. Therefore, the researcher also would like to suggest a few suggestions, which is in the future, the researchers should understand in general the online news consumption way better, and the researcher believes if the study can be further expanded to larger demographics, the study should be extended in more depth so that the objective studies can be fully proven. So again, although my objectives have been proven, but I believe if we could have a bigger scope, probably because right now I'm also taking FPMK only. So if we take into the whole UPM, it would be a better ground for observation. So yeah. And then this is my references. That is all from me. Thank you very much for hearing my presentation on my topic of newspaper readability perception of online news consumption by FPMK students in UPM. Thank you.